You ever sit down to do something important? Open your laptop, stare at the screen, and think, why am I not starting? You care about the exam, you care about the project, you care about your future. So why are you watching random videos instead? Why are you reorganizing your desk? Why are you suddenly hungry? It doesn't make sense. And that's the frustrating part. If you didn't care, fine. But you do care. So what's wrong? Here's the truth most people won't tell you. You don't procrastinate because you're lazy. You procrastinate because you care. And that's exactly why it feels so heavy. Let's make this real. You have an assignment due in 3 days. Not next week, 3 days. It's been sitting in the back of your mind the whole time. You think about it in the shower, while eating, right before sleeping. It's always there. You even feel stressed about it. A low, constant pressure. And you tell yourself, okay, tonight I'm definitely starting. You mean it. Tonight comes. You sit down, open your laptop, open the document. You type the title, maybe even the first sentence, and then you check your phone. Just for a second. No big deal. You'll get back to it. But that second turns into 10 minutes, then 20, then somehow it's 45 minutes later. Now the pressure is worse. Now there's guilt. So instead of going back to the document, you avoid it even more. Maybe you watch something. Maybe you tell yourself you'll wake up early tomorrow. Sound familiar? Here's the confusing part. You're not relaxed. You're not happy. You're not choosing fun over responsibility. You feel bad the entire time. So why are you still not starting? Here's what's actually happening. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's clear something up first. You are not lazy. Lazy is when you don't care. Lazy is indifference. But you care so much it stresses you out. That's not laziness. That's emotional conflict. Your brain has one main job: keep you safe, not successful, not productive, not impressive. Safe. And safe doesn't just mean physical danger. It means emotional danger too. Embarrassment, failure, looking stupid, disappointing yourself. Your brain reacts to those almost the same way it reacts to physical threats. Now think about this. When you sit down to work on something small, something that doesn't really matter, you can start easily. No drama, no overthinking. But when it's something important, something that affects your grades, your future, your reputation, your identity, suddenly it feels heavier. Why? Because now it's not just a task, it's a test. And tests feel dangerous. Here's where it gets interesting. The more you care about something, the more emotionally risky it becomes. If it's just a random worksheet, whatever. But if it's the final exam, if it's the scholarship application, if it's the project that could change your direction, now it's loaded. Now it means something. And when something means a lot, failing at it feels personal. It's not, I did bad. It becomes, maybe I'm not that smart. Not, this project didn't work, but maybe I'm not as capable as I thought. That's the real threat. Not the task. The possibility of discovering something about yourself you don't want to face. So your brain does something very subtle. It doesn't panic. It doesn't scream. It whispers. Let's do it later. Let's wait until we feel ready. Let's prepare more first. And that delay feels logical, responsible even. But underneath that logic is protection. Because if you don't fully try, you don't fully fail. If you start late, you have an excuse. If I had more time, I would have done better. If you don't give it your best effort, you protect your self-image. You never have to find out your true limit. And that feels safer, for a moment. And that's the trap. Procrastination isn't a time management problem. It's an emotional safety strategy. Your brain is choosing short-term comfort over long-term growth. Not because you're weak, but because discomfort feels threatening. And the more important the goal, the louder that threat becomes. That's why you can scroll for 2 hours but can't start the thing that actually matters. It's not about discipline. It's about what your brain thinks is at risk. And once you understand that, you stop attacking yourself, and you start addressing the real issue. Have you noticed this? The more important the goal, the harder it is to start. Big exam? You freeze. Dream project? You delay. Opportunity you actually care about? Suddenly you're tired. That's not coincidence. When you care deeply, the task becomes connected to your identity. It's not just, I'm writing an essay. It becomes, this proves whether I'm smart. It's not just, I'm applying for something. It becomes, this proves whether I'm capable. Now the stakes feel huge, and your brain hates huge emotional stakes. So it chooses short-term relief. Scroll, snack, clean, anything that reduces that uncomfortable tension. And here's the crazy part. The relief works for a few minutes, which trains your brain to do it again tomorrow. That's the procrastination loop. Avoid to relief, to guilt, to more pressure, to more avoidance. And it keeps repeating. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is protecting you from emotional discomfort. So what do? You don't need more motivation. You don't need to want it more. You already care. That's the problem. What you need is to lower the emotional risk. Here's how. First, stop making the task about your identity. Instead of, this proves I'm smart, shift it to, this is just practice. Instead of, this determines my future, shift it to, this is one rep. High performers don't attach their identity to every attempt. They treat things like experiments, data, iterations. When you lower the meaning, you lower the fear. And when you lower the fear, starting becomes easier. Second, shrink the entry point. Not finish the assignment, not study for 3 hours, just open the document and work for 5 minutes. That's it. You're not trying to win. You're teaching your brain that starting is safe. And once you start, momentum usually takes over. But even if it doesn't, you broke the avoidance loop, and that's a win. You procrastinate because you care about doing well. You procrastinate because failing would hurt. You procrastinate because your brain wants to protect your self-image. That's human, not broken. Human. But if you keep avoiding, you don't actually protect yourself. You just delay the discomfort and make it bigger later. The real confidence move? Act before you feel ready. Not aggressively, not dramatically. Quietly. 5 minutes. One small step. That's it. So here's what I want you to try tonight. Pick one thing you've been avoiding. Don't try to finish it. Don't try to impress anyone. Just sit down. Set a 5-minute timer and begin. Notice the resistance. Notice the thoughts. But don't obey them immediately. Just start. Because the problem was never that you didn't care. It's that you cared so much it felt risky. Lower the risk. Take the step. And watch how different it feels. If this hit close to home, you're not alone. And if you want to understand your mind instead of fighting it, that's what we do here. Consider subscribing. Let's get better, calmly.